Kia ora everyone, welcome to These Guys Got Next, our NBA basketball podcast where we dissect the NBA and deliver our takes and analysis from the bench. I'm Elijah Fa'afiu, he's Ravindu Pathirana. Rav, we're back from the All-Star break. I know the NBA had their own little break. We had a little break ourselves to give us time to take a step back and enjoy our surroundings, non-basketball surroundings. But how was your break? How's everything been before we get stuck into things in the NBA?
Yeah, man. I wish it was a nicer break because I ended up being a little bit sick for about a week, which wasn't ideal. But no, that's back on board now, so 100%. So how about you?
Yeah, not too bad. I tried to avoid the All Star game because I mean All Star weekend's not really my thing. So I went out, busy at work. Went out and enjoyed the sun or the last little bits of summer we have here on this side of the world. So that was nice. But of course, NBA is back into it, back into the swing of things. We'll touch on the All Star break, All Star weekend shortly. But first, some big news surrounding Victor Wembanyama this week. He's been ruled out for the season. The I guess the medical term is he's got deep vein thrombosis, but to put it in layman's terms, it's blood clots in his right shoulder, which is whenever you hear blood clots in the NBA, that's quite a serious condition or serious issue. So the Spurs have made, I think, the right call by ruling him out for the season, giving him some time to recover and rest. But it's a shame for a guy like Wemby, still only in his early 20s and suffering a serious issue like this, Ralph.
Yeah, man. I mean, when you think of blood clots, there's pretty much one name that stands out. Chris Bosh. Unfortunately, had his career cut short because of this. But yeah, I mean, the Spurs medical staff are hopeful, and it's kind of good that they just immediately cut the season off and allowing him time to recover and look into the root cause of this and see how we can get back to having another historic season once he's back playing, which unfortunate for a lot of people, which is a bit of a shame. I saw, I don't know if you saw, there was this one guy who put $10,000 on Wemby being Defensive Player of the Year, and about an hour after, or less than an hour afterwards, Shams
Oh
drops the
no!
news that he's out for the
Oh no!
season.
Yeah,
So, I mean, yeah, man, like it is stuff. Like we've had a history of players in the past, like Muzra Teletovic, who's had blood clots as well, like Bi most recently.
yeah.
Just
I,
before he
I
was
forgot about
traded.
that one actually. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Just before he was traded to the Lakers, it was dealing with some blood clot issues, but came back. Most improved, All Star. So we can only hope the best, and yeah, sending lots of love to Wemby.
yeah. And I guess the most recent example was Asar Thompson. He was shut down at the end of his rookie season last season due to blood clots, and that meant he had a sort of a delayed start to his second year. But now he's back and he's been a solid contributor for the Detroit Pistons this season. So some varying degrees when it comes to blood clots and how players come out on the other end. Obviously, you don't want Wemby to end up like Chris Bosh did and have his career ended early. Hopefully, it's more like a Brandon Ingram or a Sal Thompson. He does come back to the court and thrive. So, wishing for a speedy recovery there for Wemby. In terms of the Spurs, I mean, I'm sure if you're a Spurs fan, you're gutted because you would have liked to have seen him and the Aaron Fox develop their chemistry a bit more since the Aaron Fox trade happened. But now, if you're San Antonio, what do you do in this case, Rob? I guess you were trying to compete for a play-on spot, but I guess now with your best player out, it looks like tank mode is officially active.
Yeah, man, they got to throw the banners up, capture the flag. So,
They've
gotta
joined
go
the
after him.
race.
Yeah, yeah, man, absolutely. I think that is the best option for these guys at the moment. Allow those younger players to develop as well. Stefan Castle, look, I've been high on him since he was drafted, since he was in college. So I'm really hoping that he takes this opportunity to take a step up in his development, especially under the tutelage of a great, guard like Chris Paul, and now we've got a young dynamic guard like Fox as well, who can add an element to his game. So yeah, looking forward to him having a great season, or the second half of the season. And the other young guys, well, they get a chance to like audition in terms of, hey, are these guys going to be invested in for the future? And once Cooper Flag joins, I'm going to say once Cooper Flag joins because I have high
Wow,
hopes.
he's calling it. So so last episode you said the Spurs were going to win in 2027. So
Yeah,
this is all
well,
part of the plan.
Yeah,
getting
man,
Cooper
it's going
Flag.
to happen. Yep, Cooper Flag is going to happen. I mean, it's there was an interesting stat that came out, and history tends to repeat itself. You know, like David Robinson got had his foot injury in 96-97 season, and they drafted Tim Duncan the year after, and they went on a historic run. So could potentially see history repeating itself, and hopefully my wild take from the last episode comes around.
Well, it won't be as wild if they do end up with Cooper Flag. The problem is that so currently in the draft odds they're about 10th, right? So they will need to properly tank and like lose the rest of the way to actually even have a shot and to increase their odds. They've also got the Hawks first rounder as well, which is currently 11th. So they'll sort of need the Hawks to tank as well, and I don't know. I assume there'll have to be some sort of trade package put together to try and get the number one pick. But I just know that teams will probably ask for like a Stefan Castle, or they'll have to shop off a Devon Vassell or something like that. So um, it's an uphill climb for these guys. But hey, if they somehow end up with Flag and Wemby, the NBA is just yeah, geez, good luck to the rest of the
Yeah,
league,
that's all you can
basically.
say.
I guess in Wemby's case, because he's only played 46 games, it means he can't win those end of year awards. He's ineligible now. He probably would have won Defensive Player of the Year based on how he's been playing this season. What was he? 3.8 blocks he had before he was ruled out, and it means he'll miss out on all the other All NBA teams as well. So I guess if for those who have been arguing for the 65 game limit, this is sort of the downside is that when you have a guy like Wemby who was pretty much a shoo-in for an award and now gets ruled out, then it's very unfortunate. But I guess it leads to the question of who now becomes the favorite for Depoy. Um, who do you sort of see Rav as being the next guy to take that honor?
One of the guys that kind of stood out and has had a great start and few stretches that have been really impressive is the Great Barrier Thief. Shout out to Dyson Daniels, man. He's leading the league with 3 steals a game, and yeah, it would be awesome, like just to see him like win something and put Australia on the map and or this side of the world on the map as well. In terms of a defensive standpoint, which would be unbelievable. And given the Hawks are an interesting position, it'll allow him, especially with the departure of DeAndre Hunter, it'll just allow him to have a bit more of a showing out. So could potentially show out both at an offensive and a defensive end for him. So it'd be really good to see.
Yeah, and I guess the big thing with the Depoy is team defensive rating. Like the Hawks are 16th at the moment, so that would probably be the one argument against Dyson Daniels. But I guess individually, Dyson he leads the league in steals by quite a bit, just like Wemby does with blocks. So I'd definitely, yeah, I'd agree and say Dyson Daniels is probably the favorite. I mean, I guess other names you could throw out there, like a Jaren Jackson, an Evan Mobley, a Walker Kessler, but maybe even someone from the Thunder that, like, right now they've got the best defense as a team in the league. But the question is, who would you pick from the Thunder to be a contender for Depoy? Like, there's just so many guys you can choose from.
Like we had this discussion right at the start, like because SGA is going to have that second. Not he's not going to guard in the best guy anymore because you got the guys like Casey Wallace and Alex Caruso in the lineup who can do and take out the tough assignments. But SGA is averaging 1.9, Casey Wallace 1.8, and Jalen Williams 1.7. So it's really it's a tough race. But hey, people have SGA, so he could potentially swing those votes towards him. So if it's anyone from the Thunder, I'm just going to say SGA.
Yeah, SGA would be the safe bet from the Thunder. And I mean, that would be wild if he comes away with MVP and D-Boy in the same season. That would be quite historic for Shea. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. But again, an unfortunate injury or an unfortunate medical condition for Wemby to be in. So, again, hoping for a speedy recovery. In terms of the All Star weekend, yes, it's just been and gone. Uh, I don't really pay too much attention during All Star weekend, but I'll catch highlights here and there. What stood out to you about All Star weekend? What was sort of your standout moment from what occurred over in Golden State?
I think on court, I'd say like within the game itself, just when Kyrie cross up Wemby, and if you see the camera angle like from the right hand side, you can see James Harden just like kind of going nuts in the background, just like like egging Kyrie on just to see what he's going to pull out with. But that was a hell of a move, man. Just had Wemby on skates, like his ankle buckled, and poor guy's battling thrombosis as well at the same time. Um,
Don't beat him while he's
and
down, man. Come on.
But hey, man, Kyrie does Kyrie things, and yeah, pull out an unbelievable highlight. But like off the court, when that fan won 100K against Dame, like that was a pretty cool moment. Like life changing money for just an ordinary guy, which was a pretty cool moment. Yeah, what kind of stood out to you? I know you don't tune in, but even at the highlights that you watched, what stood out?
Well, because you brought up that was it the Mr. Beast challenge that we won the money? I saw like a clip where, funnily enough, Kyrie actually like when the guy was in the pool of money splashing the money around, some money fell out, and Kyrie grabbed a whole um, a whole bit of money and then started walking away with it. And I think it must have been KD who sort of
It
snatched
was
it from
KD,
him or
yeah,
something. Yeah, the
yeah.
players were sort of mucking around with the money there. That was quite funny. I guess in terms of the actual All Star weekend, Mac McClung, that dunk contest was
What a
insane.
guy!
Like his showing was better than like the other three contenders combined. Like, that's how good he was. He was outstanding. I guess my favorite one was the one over the car, which is a throwback to like when Blake Griffin. For some reason, I always thought the Blake Griffin dunk was over the actual middle of the car, but it was. I've looked back over it. It was actually over the hood, which makes Mac's dunk much more
Way
impressive.
better, yeah.
Exactly, way better. Yeah, it's just. I mean, we talk about the All Star game needing to be fixed, and we'll touch on that soon. But the dunk contest needs to be fixed somehow because that was very disappointing from the other three guys who took part. Like Stephon Castle had a nice dunk, one nice dunk that I saw, but geez, very disappointing.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I was hoping Andre Jackson Jr. I wasn't expecting Stephon Castle to pull out what he did. I'll touch on that shortly. But yeah, Matas Buzelis and Andre Jackson Jr. That was terrible showing. I think it was this Andre Jackson Jr.'s second dunk or third dunk where he just like went into like a real basic one because he was running out of time, which is a bit of a shame.
Was that the one?
But
Because I did see a dunk where Andre Jackson Jr. did a dunk, and it cut to Giannis, and usually Giannis just reacts like he goes real overboard with his reactions. Nothing from Giannis. Like he was just like, like didn't know how to react to the most basic dunk that Jackson Jr. pulled out.
yeah, man. I mean, it's tough. Like if you can't force you can't force a reaction, like if it's going to be like that. But just touching on Stefan Castle, like I think what he did was pretty cool. Like people can be like, oh, he wasn't like flashy or anything, but he did a lot of his dunks like without props. He just did like genuine like he showed out his athleticism without the need for props. Like not taking anything away from Mac McClung because that was unbelievable. But I just wanted to shout out Stefan Cost, just jump back on the bandwagon and say, hey man, like well done. Like he contributed in a nice way, and also, in the hoverboard dunk from Mac McClung. I don't know if you remember that one or if you caught that in the highlights.
Yeah,
The
so
guy that
Aaron
was
Gordon
yeah man, like a little nod
special
to
one.
AG. Yeah, so that was pretty nice of Mac McClung to do that.
Yeah,
But do you reckon he deserves a contract, like NBA contract? He's been carrying the dunk contest for the last 3 years.
well, he shouldn't get a contract just because he can dunk. Like he's not going to pull out those dunks mid game, is it? He's not going to bring a car out midway through the third quarter and tell everyone to clear away and hey, let me just get 2 points. Like based on, I think he's a solid player in the G League, but I
He's
don't
won
think
G
he
League
does
MVP
enough.
as well, I think, from memory.
Not too sure, but
Yeah.
possibly he's yeah. But I guess in terms of his play, like I don't think he deserves an NBA contract. But it is unfortunate that they need to pluck him out of the G League for him to compete
To
against NBA players
activate
in the
him
dunk
like a
contest.
sleeper agent, bro.
Yeah, exactly. They just bring him out once a year. It's like,
Yeah.
when you need to like bring out Michael Bublé for Christmas every year. Like that's sort of what the vibes I sort of get from that. But anyway, in terms of, I mean, that was a dunk contest. Tyler Hero won the 3 point contest, which I called during Quickfire last episode. So I'll take that dub.
Yeah, love it.
I didn't actually watch the 3 point contest though. Did you
No.
catch that at
Yeah, I was
all?
just catching the hot. I was sick, man. I was just like down and out. I was, yeah, and then the hurt locker. But I was just watching the highlights, and just Buddy Hield did the most Buddy Hield thing ever. Like 31 in the first round, and then just to be knocked out by like 1 point. He had the opportunity. He caught fire at the end in his money rack, and yeah, unfortunately snipped out by one. And even Tyler Hero was like, "Damn, I thought Buddy was going to win," but he said he got lucky. But hey, man, Buddy Hield is Buddy Hield type thing.
It sounds like his season so far. Yeah, has a hot start and then just sort of levels out as
Yeah,
fizzles out. And then Wemby and CP3 trying to game the skills challenge. I'll be honest, I found that funny because I
hilarious.
probably
Agree.
would do the same thing.
Yeah,
Like,
man. Like
hey,
you just exploit the system, and apparently it was Wemby's idea. Like you think CP3 with
I
his
would
knowledge
think
and
CP. Yeah,
history,
okay.
yeah. But just that was a terrible show. Like I know skills challenge has been pretty bad for the last few years, so they just got to figure out a way to make it better, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess the big issue or the big thing that needs fixing with All Star Weekend is the actual All Star game itself. Again, I caught little bits here and there. I know that in the end it was Shaq's OG's team, which had Steph and KD and Tatum Brown and Kyrie and Harden, the likes. I pretty much just named the whole squad, but they pretty much took it out. What were your thoughts on that whole four-team tournament? Did that fix anything in terms of the All Star game?
Nah, man. That was probably one of the worst ones that we've seen, like ever.
Wow,
Yeah, I'm fully bro.
we've had a lot of bad All Star games recently. Okay,
Yeah, I'm just like yes, it was competitive, but it just seems like it was not centered around NBA. It was not centered around basketball. Like it was everything else. Like the broadcast was 2.5 hours only for like 30 minutes and 30 seconds or whatever of basketball. Like that's terrible. Like it just takes away from the game. And like honestly, you and I could talk about this for hours just in terms of the wider problems that the NBA is facing and how it's become like a show rather than a sport. But yeah, it's yeah, I just didn't like it. That's plain and simple.
yeah. From what I've read up, it was sort of mixed. Some felt that the competitiveness was there, um, which says a lot compared to what we've seen in the years past. But yeah, as you touched on, it was more about entertainment, which I think should be expected because it's the NBA, it's a business. Like you got to try draw in fans, but I think the way it played out with they were doing this whole tribute to inside the NBA, and Kevin Hart was there, and for some reason I looked up on the screen, I saw that like Shaq and Chuck and wearing like fishing gear or something like what is that gonna like how are fans gonna tune into that? It also doesn't help that LeBron and Anthony Edwards pulled out of the game. LeBron had foot soreness and I think had a groin injury, and they're two of your most marketable ball players in the league. So if you want fans tuning in, they're going to tune in because of those two guys. So not having them there isn't ideal for your All Star game. What do you think of the whole Rising Stars being the fourth team? Like I've already said my bit on what I think, but I guess do you think the Rising Stars deserve that
I mean,
spot?
it gives them a cool opportunity, bro. But like playing on that spot, like on that stage, and there's a lot of other guys more deserving. Like yes, rising stars will have their time. They are rising stars in a few years down the track if they be consistent and carry on what they've been doing. Yes, all star spots deserved, but that is reserved for all stars. Yeah.
And I mean, I've said last episode that I think there should be an all snub team, and I don't know if Damian Lillard listens to our podcast, but he said the same thing. Well, what he did say was that he wants it to go back to an East-West format, and he'd be fine with home court advantage being on the line. But he also mentioned that ultimately, if the format stays the same, he would like an all snub team to be the fourth team, which is what I said last. So hey, Dame, I'm a big fan of you and your rapping. You're obviously a big fan of us, and you listen to the podcast. Uh, hey, Adam Silver, hope you're listening. All snub team as the fourth team, that would be epic. So
Love it, man. We're going
again,
from
shout out to
Dame
Dame
as a
Dollar.
player to yeah, Adam Silver as a commissioner to tune into these guys got next. Love it.
Hell yeah. In terms of the All Star game, I mean, what's your suggestion in terms of how this game can be fixed?
I think just going back to the basics, man, like East versus West. But have an incentive. Like I like Dame's idea of home court advantage, but if I can add one more thing to it, I'd say no back-to-backs for the winning conference. And I just heard Joel Embiid in the back just shouting out in joy.
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, I was wondering what that was.
Yeah. Anything you'd recommend?
I've always said USA versus the world, just because of. I mean, that's the way the NBA is now. Like a lot of your best players are international players. Like now, the one argument against that is there enough international players to make up a world team? Like you could probably say eight. There's definitely eight guys I reckon you could make up, but you probably need a couple more. And so I mean, I don't know how the NBA will look to fix that, but I think we're at a stage now where you can do Team USA versus the world. Like
I mean,
that'll
NHL did
be
it like recently
exactly.
for their All Star. Yeah. So why not translate that over?
Yeah. Wait, also NHL did a cool thing where they did like a four nations tournament where they did USA, Canada, Sweden, and I want to say Finland. So that was their All Star break. They had this mini 14 tournament, and like the USA Canada game. I don't know if you saw like the first game. Literally, like the Canada fans were booing, and in the first like 10 seconds, there were like three fights
Yeah.
right
Love
off
it.
the bat.
Yeah.
Like Canada fans were booing the US anthem, and then boom, yeah, that was insane atmosphere, and that's definitely going to draw fans in. So I don't know if the NBA want to play with that and go for international flavor or world flavor. So that could be an idea. But yeah, a lot of thinking for Adam Silver to do. Now that the NBA is back in action, what sort of stood out to you about what the Nuggets have sort of done? Because we've talked about Jokic, we've talked about his relationship with Russell Westbrook and how much he's brought to the team. Who else is really? I mean, it seems like everyone's now stepping up for this squad.
Yeah, man. I think I guess the Robin, Jokic's Robin really stood out. It's just Jamal Murray. He's just woken up and decided to go on a tear. So he's averaging 27.8 points, 6.4 assists, and 3.2 rebounds on 57.1 shooting, and he had that 55
Efficient,
ball.
yeah.
Yeah, which is unbelievable. Like this is what he needs to do consistently. Well, not the 57%, but just you know take a bit of pressure off Jokic for him to keep dominating. So I think that is a big piece, and Jamal Murray is a dangerous player, and we know what he's able to do. So this is massive, especially if he can keep this consistency going into the playoffs. So that'd be really good for this team.
Yeah, they're running hot right now, and I guess another guy to bring up is Christian Brown, who, I mean, for a Denver side that's lost Bruce Brown and KCP over the last couple of years, Christian's really stood up in their place. 15 points, 5.1 rebounds, 57.8 from the field this season. And in transition, he's been insane, like 5.3 fast break points, which is second in the league behind Giannis, which is that's an insane stat for a guy like Christian Brown. So a big year for him in a new role, starting in the squad. So great on him and MPJ
Big
as
motor
well.
too, yeah, man. Oh,
Yeah,
she's going to shout out big motor for Christian Brown. That helps the energy in this team, so that's definitely fueling, and it shows second in the league in transition points. So yeah, awesome.
and shout out to MPJ as well for actually staying healthy. Like obviously the big concerns early in his career was around his back and whether he'd be able to be on the court. He's proven in the last two seasons that he can stay healthy, and they definitely need him as well as a key piece. So good on the Denver Nuggets, and we'll see how long this streak goes for. So it's getting quite fiery out there in the West. Back in the East, Bobby Portis has been suspended for 25 games for violating the league's anti-drug policy. Now, the reason we're bringing this up is not so much the suspension, but it's like the the whole context or the background of it. Basically, Portis's assistant mixed up his medication, so he's been taking a medication called Toradol, which is approved by the league, and he's takes it all the time. Portis's agent claims that the assistant mixed it up and gave him a pain medication called Tramadol, which is banned. So basically, that's the reason why. And I mean, it's pretty sad that Portis got 25 games for a mix-up, basically, for a mistake from his assistant, which is a shame. And
Well,
I
no
would love
longer
to
his
be,
assistant.
yeah,
He'll be getting fired, right?
I would love to be in the room where Bobby Portis is confronting. We've seen those crazy eyes, right? I would
Yeah,
love to be in the room where Portis is confronting his assistant on what happened, because that's a funny story in itself.
Yeah. Fly on the wall, yes. Person sitting there to experience the horrors, no, thank you.
No, definitely not. I would not want to be his assistant. So yeah, we'll see how that impacts the Bucks, but big loss there for Milwaukee. And yeah, was there anything else, Rav, that caught your eye? I know there was a player by, was it Naquan Tomlin? Quite an interesting story that you saw this week.
Yeah, man. Pretty cool. Like, hasn't played high school basketball. Bounced around a couple of colleges. Ended up in the G League. I think he was averaging 20.1 or 20.8 points per game, and got a 10-day contract from the Cavs. So Cavs adding another another good player, decent player to their bench. So yeah, wishing him all the success in the 10-day, and hopefully can convert that into a contract.
Yeah, it just proves it's great when you hear these stories of where players come from, and like skipping high, like not playing in high school, and hey, it gives guys like us hope, Rav,
Yeah,
that we
man.
can reach,
Yeah,
we can make the NBA one day. It's never too late.
one day. I mean,
We'll see.
what's the guy's name? Andre. I can't remember his last name. The guy that played for the Lakers, who's like the oldest rookie ever.
Oh, Andre Ingram. Yes.
Andre Ingram, that's him. Yeah, man.
Yep.
Like, shout out to him too. So there are the success stories that just take a long time to marinate.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll wrap things up with the good old quick fire. So, Rav, you're ready? You're all good? I'll start
Yep.
with the first question. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Rav, second half of the season, which team do you think will have the biggest climb from where they currently are in the standings?
I'm gonna go the Golden State Warriors. Eli, which team do you want to see win capture the flag, aka get the number one overall pick in the draft?
There's two, the Wizards or the Nets for Cooper Flag. Rav, Nikola Jokic needs 18 triple doubles in his last 27 games to break the single season record for triple doubles. Can he get it done?
No. I just love Westbrook too much. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
go against it. Eli, pick a rookie that'll have a big second half of the season.
Stephon Castle, especially with Wemby now out for the season. Rav, name one player in the NBA right now who has a genuine shot at beating Mac McClung in a dunk contest.
Just because this person tweeted it, Ja Morant. I want him in there. Eli, because you mentioned you're a big fan of Dame Dollar and his rapping. What's your favorite Dame Dollar song?
Uh, Rav, what's your game of the week?
I think if it's the same for you and I, it's we've got the 26th penciled in, the Lakers versus the Mavs.
Yes, we do, and that is time up. I'm so sorry, Dame Dollar. I'm still a big fan of you as a player, but anyway, I hope you still listen to us on the podcast. Anyways, we'll wrap things up there. Thanks so much again, Rav, for your time, uh, and yeah, check us out on Instagram, Spotify. Sorry, I'm so flustered because I'm still thinking of a Dame Dollar song. I literally can't think of one. Okay, we'll leave it there. Until then, we got next, and Matua.